Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Scoops AFL Draft Power Rankings video, the final one for the draft next Wednesday and Thursday night. I'm going to give you my top 30 draft power rankings. It's not a phantom draft. I can't believe still to this day people get so confused between a power ranking video and a phantom draft. A phantom draft is when you put the clubs together and the players that are in the conversation. Draft power rankings may look similar, but it's your opinion on who is the best of the best in order. And in my case, I've done the top 30 for today. So let's go through all that right now. But before that, please subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Smash a like and subscribe if you haven't already. On the road to 3K subscribers, on the way to that. And I greatly appreciate you all that have subscribed. And if you haven't and you're watching and you're a regular, or you're not a regular and you're watching and you're not subscribed, please go and do so. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, so how I'm going to do this is I'm going to go from number 1 to number 30. Now, who is the best player in this year's draft crop for the AFL? I keep tossing and turning the name. I choose between 3 names. And of the 3, they are my top 3. So you'll figure that out very shortly. So with pick 1, in terms of the best player in this year's draft, I have gone Jagger Smith. He's got the moves like Jagger. He's just a great player. We've seen some form for Jagger through the state championships where he dominated being the captain of the side, and the Vic side. And, you know, playing for Richmond in the VFL for about 3 or 4 games, just dominated from game 1. A game down in Williamstown, I believe he had 32 on disposal, who is a strong VFL team. And some mature bodies there and experienced players and former AFL players in that team as well. And Jagger killed it in that game. That's not the reason I have him at 1. That's just an extra layer to my reasoning as to why I have him at number 1. I mean, there's the talk about, you know, does he get to Melbourne at 5? Does he get to Richmond at 6? You know, could he get to the Myers Saints at pick 7-0? How sweet would it be if we can get Jagger Smith and one of Josh Smiley, Harvey Langford and co? I'd be so damn happy if that was to happen. But Jagger Smith at pick 1, a midfielder, smaller type midfielder. At number 2, I have got Levi Ashcroft, father-son with the Brisbane Lions, Sandringham Dragons star, co-captain, midfielder. You know, he's going to Brisbane. We all know that. But he's the second best player in this year's draft crop, in my opinion. At number 3, I have Josh Smiley, who for a long part of last year had been linked to the number 1 pick. And to be honest, I still think he's worth that. The talk is Richmond won't go that way with pick 1. But Josh Smiley, 195 centimetre midfielder, inside ball, gets a lot of the ball, clearances, tackling is his thing. Now, he's been linked to St Kilda at pick 7 and 8. And potentially Melbourne at 5 and Richmond at 6. So he's not really in the conversation for the top 3 players, apparently. And I'm happy with that because if he gets to St Kilda, I will be absolutely thrilled. I'll have a smile on my face if we get Josh Smiley at the Saints. Yeah. Imagine having the moves like Jagger and the smile like Josh Smiley at the Saints. Might be smiling at Moorabbin. And you might have the moves like Jagger at Moorabbin as well, if that's to be the case. Or how good that would be. If you were going to ask me the 2 players you want, Scoops, to join the Saints, it's Levi Ashcroft, obviously, but he can't. He's tied to Brisbane, the father-son. So the other 2 are Josh Smiley and Jagger Smith. And, yeah, what a great move that would be. The other player that would love to join the Saints, who is my number 4, is Harvey Langford, a midfielder who plays forward and kicks goals. He's met with Carlton, who have pick 3. Around the clubs around that are pick 4 with Adelaide and North Melbourne potentially at pick 2. Harvey may not get to St Kilda's pick 7 apparently, but it's a chance to happen. I feel like it will happen, but I rate him very highly. Harvey Langford, he is at number 4 on my list. And number 5, some people's number 1, but my number 5 is Finn O'Sullivan from the Oakleigh Chargers, a midfielder, does very well. Yeah, I think he's a very good player and will be a very good player in the future. I have him at number 5, and it doesn't mean he's in a bad spot at all. Number 6, I've got Sam Layla. who's had some bad hamstring injuries. He's a Victorian. He's a midfielder. He's had the comparisons to Dustin Martin. I mean, look, I could see why some want him at number 1 in terms of, I'm not talking about phantom drafts here. I'm talking about power rankings. I rate the others ahead of him. You know, Finn and Harvey are the ones you could maybe argue about, but the other 3 cannot argue about, in my opinion. At number 7 from South Australia, I've got Sid Draper, someone the Crows will absolutely be looking at pick 4. You know, he was another one linked to the number 1 draft pick this time a year ago. 1 year ago today, really. He's not linked to it now. He could be around pick 4, maybe Carlton at 3. I don't think North will take Sid Draper. I was going to say Finn O'Sullivan. North may take Finn O'Sullivan. But at number 8, I've gone Murphy Reid, a Victorian, a midfielder. Apparently could go in the late teens, but could also go as early as St Kilda's 7 and 8. So, I mean, this is around the mark where I rate him highly. Murphy Reid, a tall midfielder from Sandringham Dragons. Had some insane games, having over 32 disposals and kicking some goals. Now, at number 9, it's a flying Viking in Alex Taru from the Gippsland Power. Intercept mark in King. In the back line, they can push around the ground as well. He's shot out of nowhere this championships and throughout the Coates League this year, and gone from not being talked about to being talked about as highly as potentially picked 2 in North Melbourne, more likely from Carlton at 3 and onwards. But yeah, he's had a great championships, testing well at the combine, so he'll be up there for sure. At number 10, it's a key forward of the draft. It's Harry Armstrong from Victoria. The first key forward in this draft crop. Over number 10, kicks goals, strong body, a really good mark, kicks goals. What more do you want for a key forward? So Harry Armstrong at number 10. Number 11, I've got Leo Lombard, who won the best on ground when the Gold Coast Suns won the VFL Premiership a couple of years ago as a 16-year-old. That's when one of the first times I first noticed him. And I knew from that moment, you're 16 years of age, you're winning a VFL best on ground, you're playing in that team filled with listed AFL players at the Suns. One of 2 players, I believe, that wasn't listed that got a game. So that's a credit to him. I know they have the 23rd man rule and everything like that in the VFL, but regardless, to be considered is a credit for him at 16, when I'm sure there could have been about 50 other names they could have picked. And Leo Lombard set the world on fire then and has ever since. I mean, I could have put him really at 7 here. I really could have, or even 6. So one that will go to Gold Coast through the academy, a mid forward, a small player. He's got speed and he runs and he tackles really well. At number 12, I've got WA's midfielder, Bo Allen, a tall mid, very good midfielder. People say that, West Coast didn't slide back to get him. I feel like they did. And they're happy taking him there if he's available. Otherwise, they will get someone else, and they'll be happy with whoever that would be. At number 12, I've got Bo Allen. Number 13, I've got Toby Trevelyan from the Gippsland Power. Sorry, not from the Gippsland Power, from the Bendigo Pioneers. He'll be one absolutely keep an eye on around this range. A lot of people rate him a little bit higher than that, but I remember around this mark, and, it'll just be interesting to see where he ends up going, Toby Trevelyan from the Bendigo Pioneers. At pick number 14, I have Isaac Kako, from the Essendon NGA Academy side. Isaac, will get bidded on potentially as high as 7 and 8 with St Kilda, maybe Melbourne just before that. He'll get to the Bombers no matter where the bid comes, but the earlier it is, the more they'll have to pay up. So hopefully the Saints still just to annoy Essendon again. But, a small forward, kicks goals. That's what Essendon need. They need that pressure, the tackling pressure, and that's what something Isaac would provide. Speaking of small forward and pressure and kicking goals, it's Joe Berry at number 15 from Victoria, small forward. The one that I feel like could go anywhere in terms of, I could see him going as high as 9 or even 8. I could see him going as low as 25, but it's maybe not 25, 20. So it's where does he go? I rate him as a player, as a small forward option he's probably the best small forward option outside the academy guys, Lombard and Kako, as the best available, realistic best available option to the open pool. I think he'd be a good choice. Number 16 from the Bendigo Pioneers, Job Shanahan, key forward. Again, the next option after Harry Armstrong. Absolutely, clubs will look at Job at this selection range, at 16 range, even as high as 12, maybe 11 or 10. Had a good championships for Victoria and obviously through the Bendigo Pioneers games as well. At number 17, another small forward, Jesse Tatoli. Apparently had comparisons to wanting to play like Lachie Neale and be that small forward that pushes into the midfield. And obviously Lachie Neale's a two-time Brownlow medalist, so that's a great comparison, Jesse. Actually, don't mind, Jesse. I was actually really considering putting him as high as 12. Had great championships and has done really well for himself for Victoria. At number 18, I've got Taj Houghton, the brother of Ollie Houghton, who's just been delisted from the Saints. Taj is a player that kicks goals but gets a lot of the ball as well. He played some games early on in the season for Sandringham Dragons, but unfortunately he's ACL, so he won't play pretty much most of next season, apparently. And clubs like Richmond and GWS have multiple picks in the teens will be the clubs that look at him at that range. But, he was linked to top 5 at one point before the injury. So, it doesn't matter what draft pick number. If you get picked up, that's all that matters in the end. Number 19, I've got Xavier Lindsay from the Gippsland Power for Victoria. A bit of a utility type. A lot of people have him as high as 8. I felt like some of those other guys in front of him provide a little bit more, which is like the small forwards, the academy players, and the key forward options. So he slid down, but I could see him going higher. At number 20, I've got Alex Dodson, who is the best ruck in this year's draft crop. He is from South Australia, did really well for SA in the championships, and for Sturt, he had a 30 disposal game in there as well. At number 21, I got James Barat, also known as Jimmy, playing for the Bendigo Pioneers, just kicks goals and goals for Bendigo. But then in the state championships, he had some really, really strong games playing as a key defender. And Jimmy played a game or two at the Essendon VFL side. I won't say he came out of nowhere because his form has been really good for Bendigo throughout the whole time. But then to step it up even further in the Vic Metro Vic Country games is a credit to him and put himself in serious contention for the top 20. James Barat, also known as Jimmy, as he would like to tell you. I've had on the podcast before. At number 22, I've got Luke Trainer from the Sandringham Dragons, a defender, a taller type defender. Some have him higher as well, but, that's where I have him at. Number 23, you got Sam Marshall, a tall midfielder type. He is from the Lions Academy. He will be going to Brisbane, so that is that. At pick 24, I've got Matt Whitlock, and pick 25, I've got Jack Whitlock. The twins from the Bendigo area as well. Key defender, key forward, both do really well. Both kicked goals when they were playing in the Coates League and doing really well for themselves. You can be mistaken to get the two mixed up. I've probably done so in the past, and they will probably tell you that. So, and they got a brother who's not playing footy, so it's in the same age range. So it's very confusing. But yeah, and I'm sure that when they listen to this, they're going to message me now off that. But yeah, it's credit to them for their hard work they put through the championships as well, because that's where everyone is definitely watching. There's people that watch the other leagues, but that's where all the big dogs come out to watch, and more eyes are on. And the championships televised. You're playing at Marvel, playing at Moorabbin and grounds like that, so you get noticed a lot more than some ground 4 hours away, but you still get noticed. Just remember that. But yeah, the Whitlocks, 24 and 25. Number 26, Cooper Hines from the Dandenong Stingrays, a midfielder. Gets a bit of the ball, contested type player, does really well, and he's one in this range. He'll go around this mark. Jonty Fall, a tall forward. Starting to see a lot more of the talls around this range. So do a Richmond and West Coast look for guys like the Whitlocks, like Jonty Fall, like James Barat, like Job Shanahan in this position. Harry Armstrong will go in the top 10 range, so he won't be available then. Maybe at the Eagles pick 12 he might. But yeah, you'll have to wait and see there. But Cooper Hines at 26 and Jonty Fall at 27. Christian Moraes at 28. From Victoria, the Eastern Rangers, a midfielder that'll be around this range. I don't mind. I was looking at his stats again earlier, but he's doing really well. He's kind of flying under the radar a little bit, Christian Moraes. One to keep an eye on for sure. At 29 from Victoria, I got Tom Gross. A player who's been hanging around that mark at the top 30 range. A few other people reckon he'd be around the 25 to 45 range. And at pick 30, I've got Oliver Hannaford, player that loves kicking goals. I believe in the back half he kicked like there was like 7 games and he kicked like 20 goals in those 7 games, or maybe 19. And has put himself in the calculations for the top 30s. Oliver Hannaford from the Greater Western Victoria Rebels. One name to keep an eye out for, too. Sure. I must mention a few other names because I know there's people saying, "Oh, what about this person? What about that person?" Some names I want you to keep an eye out on for. Okay. There's a few other Bendigo Pioneers as well. I want to mention a few. Archer Day Wicks and Lockie Hogan. They're 2 names to keep an eye out on. Guys that I had in my previous draft power rankings video 3 months ago. They're 2 names to also keep an eye out on for sure. And I'm sure there'll be names again that I missed, but I just wanted to mention a few others. So thank you for watching this video. And yeah, my Phantom Draft will be, what day are we now as of this recording? Oh, yep. So maybe Monday, the week of the draft, you'll see my Phantom Draft. I was probably going to do 2, but now I'll probably just do 1. I'm still thinking through that. Enjoy this video. Leave a like, subscribe, tag your friends, share this video on Instagram and tag me, and I may share your story back. Thank you. Most important thing of all to remember is go the Saints. Josh Smiley, Jagger Smith, Harvey Langford, St Kilda. Get 2 of those 3, and I'll be very, very happy. Go Saints.